So hello everyone, welcome to EduTap. My name is Surbhi and this is Perspective 360 Degree, your one-stop solution for current affairs, descriptive writing and answer writing evaluation. If the audio is clear, then before proceeding further, I'll be happy if you let me know in the chat section if you can hear me properly, and if the screen is clear, you can see me as well as the presentation running behind me clearly. Good morning Iftisham, is everything clear? Audio, video, both clear so that we can proceed? And other students joining in? Okay, so kindly send me a ping. All right. Good evening, Krishna. I hope the audio and video, everything is clear for you. So the topic that we have today is the Indian economy. So are we going to study the Indian economy in its detail? No, that's not the reason we have taken up this topic. Thanks, Iftisham, for the clarification. The reason we've taken this topic is because Finance Ministry, the Chief Economic Advisor, who would have released an economic survey on 30th or 31st January, has released a report called the Indian Economy, a review. So this is not a replacement to economic survey. It is just a discussion paper discussing how Indian economy has performed in the past 10 years, and to break it down for you how economy of India has performed since the time the present government took power. It is the second tenure or the second turn of second 5-year cycle of this present government that is ending this year with the elections, and the new government will come to power. So you see one documents after the other which are presenting India in a good light, and many of the facts are very, very true, and you will be very happy to know about the state of Indian economy when you go through this document. Few days back we discussed the National Multidimensional Poverty Index discussion paper that was released by Niti Aayog. It highlighted how poverty levels in India have gone down, and yes, there have been many critics who are saying that there are still loopholes in the economy, there are problems, and the data is not correct. But yes, there are many things to celebrate also. Many people have been calling this review document, I'll display this. Okay, so this is the Indian Economy, a review of January 2024. Previous 10 years data has been covered in this in the form of 2 chapters. So many experts say that this is just a political gimmick to show people that how well the government is performing so that more people vote for the present government. It could have some logical basis to it, but as I told you, there are many facts which are a part of this report or this review, and those facts are important for our exam. So today our focus would be to cover this report or the review which has come out. The economic survey is not being released. It will be released after the election cycle is complete and new government takes over. However, the interim budget would be released. That is the budget for the next few months that will be released. And so let's proceed. So now getting back to the chat section, and all right, thank you Joseph, thank you Krishna and Iftisham. Sejal, good evening. Queen B, good evening Queen B. Neha and Krish and Kanika. Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome all of you to Perspective 360 Degree. It's day 61. I hope that you are as happy as me because we have gained so much knowledge during the course of our discussions through this initiative. So I hope that you're feeling stronger, you're feeling more knowledgeable with after all these discussions, and you're feeling elated as I am. So I have not taken separate screenshots of any news today because every news article is just saying the same thing, that the government has released this review paper or this report has been released. Is it a replacement to economic survey or not? We already know this is not a replacement to economic survey. Economic survey would be released later, and but yes, some newspapers highlight that India's new economic review is just a feel-good document, and the Mint has highlighted, this article has highlighted that this is just to garner more votes in the upcoming elections. Then Finance Ministry issues Indian Economy, a review report instead of economic survey. It is not a replacement. Again, I'm repeating. Then CNBC TV, you go to Google News section and it's filled with it. What is the Indian Economy, a review presented by the government all about? So what is it all about? We will be learning through the course of our discussion. Now, looking at relevance of this report from RBI Grade B point of view. First of all, the question arises, can you be asked a separate question with regards to this report? You can definitely be asked a separate question, so kindly be prepared for it and watch this discussion very carefully. And also we'll be covering 100 or more than 100 topics for in like perspective 360-degree. So all the topics will not be seen in the final exam, but they will definitely help you write intelligent answers for other questions in the exam. Also, they prepare you very well for your interview, which is a key stage of your final selection. So gear up with me. The topic economic and social issues, that is paper 1 of RBI Grade B. You have the topic called measurement of growth, which this paper focuses on, which this economic review focuses on. Then you have priorities and recommendations of economic survey and union budget. So the data which is given in this discussion paper or this report is as authentic as the data that we would have otherwise received in economic survey. So for NABARD Grade A, you have the topic called Nature of Indian Economy as part of ESI Paper 2 and Economic Underdevelopment. For SEBI Grade A, again, the topic economics, this topic that we are covering today is implicitly related to your syllabus, and it also covers the monetary and fiscal policy. Now, what can be the expected question? Let's keep it very simple. Highlight the important observations of the Indian economy, a review. Answer for 600 words, that is for 15 marks. So it's been a little time that this report has been released. Can any one of you tell me what are the most important observations of the Indian economy, a review? And how would you start your answer? Okay, I'm getting back to the chat section. Kanika, hello. Akshay, good evening. Okay, it's your first live class. Welcome, Akshay. Rajni, hello. And okay, that's great, Akshay. And Kritika, good evening. So now, as we usually do, we follow an answer writing blueprint that EduTap provides you with. We start by writing an introduction. We follow it with the main body where we answer the exact part of the question, and then we we sum up by writing a conclusion. Now, the problem with questions like these, which are very, short questions, but they have like a long word limit. The problem with questions like these is that you do not understand what to write, what to omit, what to write first and what to write later. So my suggestion here would be that write the good things first, then in the second body part write the challenges, and finally you can go on writing the recommendations if any have appeared in the report that is being asked in the question. So we'll start by writing an introduction first, where we'll give the brief explanation of the document or this report. What is this report about? Just say that it has been released for the first time, and don't say that it has willingly been released before elections. That would be very much anti-government. Never add such kind of statements in your answers or in your interview discussions. Then in the body part 1, talk about the major highlights of this report. What this report has done, what are the important observations that have been made regarding Indian economy. In the body part 2, there will be some additional highlights where we'll talk about some challenges or some projections that this report has made. How is the future going to look like? What are the challenges that are coming up for Indian economy, and is Indian economy geared up for it? Then in the conclusion, you can provide with a way forward that the report itself provides, or you can summarize your answer if you have already ascribed a separate paragraph for your way forward. All right. So first of all, now moving on to the introduction part. I'll get back to the chat section in a while. Let's understand this report first, and let's understand how will you introduce it. So as I told you, this has been released for the first time. You should know the authority that is releasing it. It has been released by the Chief Economic Advisor. The Chief Economic Advisor has been the signing authority, and just to remind you, your Chief Economic Advisor is the officer who signs the economic survey also and who releases the economic survey. So first of all, this has been released by the Finance Ministry. It's a recent, so write it down that the Finance Ministry has recently released a document called the Indian Economy, a review, and it has been presented or prepared by the Chief Economic Advisor. And the document, what does it do? It takes stock of Indian economy and its journey in the last 10 years and offers a brief sketch of the outlook for the economy in the coming years. So it talks about the past 10 years, and it also gives some recommendations or prepares us for the future, for the near future. It gives some recommendations for the next few years. So this report has been presented into 2 parts. You can talk about it. The chapter 1, it provides an overview of past, present and future. So that is an overview. And the chapter 2 It is a more detailed look at the government's policies and progress on various parameters in different sectors. So there are 2 chapters only. The report is 74 pages long. If you have the time, you can read this out. Otherwise, the important aspects have been covered as part of this discussion. So apart from this, there is no new knowledge that we can add to. Since this is a report that has been released for the first time, you can as well add this to your answer, that this has been released for the first time. And don't say it is replacing economic survey, just say that it has been released to provide public with real-time economic data, which otherwise the economic survey would have done. But since this is an election year, hence economic survey was not released. Instead, this report has been released. So now the major observations of the review have been highlighted as the following points, in the form of following points. And now we'll move on to the Let's Delve Deeper section, that is the section 2 of Perspective 360 Degree. Here we'll be talking about body part 1, major highlights, body part 2, additional highlights or challenges, and the conclusion. If you have any additions to make, any questions to ask, then this is the right time. I'm getting back to the chat section. Kindly let me know if you want to have a conversation regarding this report, or there are any points you want to add. Krishna just watched this class, and after watching the class, tomorrow morning on our Telegram channel, the link to which is given in the description, on that Telegram channel you will find the PDF for this class. Kindly go through the PDF, kindly go through everything that we have studied, and answer the question that we are discussing in the YouTube comment section below. In the comment section below this video, send an answer to us for the question under discussion in the next 48 hours, and we'll provide you with free evaluation. What should be the bifurcation for number of words, Kritika is asking. And bifurcation, Kritika, as we proceed ahead, because in the report major highlights will take a bigger chunk, close to 200 to 250 words would be taken up by major highlights, and then additional highlights would be again like 200 words, and including your conclusion and introduction we'll have close to 100 or 150 words. And here I'm presuming that additional 50 words would be there in every part, so we'll touch around somewhere between 500 to 600 words for this answer. Sejal says, V. Anatha Nageshwaran. Yes, he is the Chief Economic Advisor right now, and who has released this report. I read an editorial where they were saying that other aspects were ignored in the review, only stats mentioned which showed government in good light. Can we mention this in answer? No, Lucifer, you cannot mention this directly in your answer. Towards the end of observations, you can definitely highlight that despite of the above feats, there are some challenges which are trying to cripple down the Indian economy. For example, unemployment is there. For example, unequal division of wealth is there, and whatever problems you think are there in your mind, just say that indirectly. Yes, okay. Should I also have to make notes from the live class? Nobody out of you has to make notes, since you'll get the PDF for this entire discussion that is happening. Sejal, I'll look into this. So now talking about the major highlights, there are 6 major highlights which have been made. First of all, the growth projections. Obviously, as I told you, we are going to feel very positive after reading this report, after understanding this. So the growth projections that have been made, they are very positive, and they have said that India will be a 5 trillion economy in the next 3 years, and by 2030 India will be a $7 trillion economy. So India is positioned to become a $5 trillion economy within the next 3 years, and has the potential to reach $7 trillion by 2030. Also, the GDP growth rate for fiscal year 2024, it is anticipated to surpass 7.2%. And few days back or few weeks back, we covered a report regarding global economic prospects, which said that global economy in 2024 will see the slowest growth, that this slow growth has not been seen even during the recession years in 2008, that we'll see in 2024. But as compared to that, it says that global economy is struggling to for economic growth rate of even 3%, but India will be growing at a major growth rate at 7.2% or even more than that. So this question can be asked as part of your objective paper also, that according to this report, what is the projected growth rate for the country? There are different growth rates released by various organizations for your country. Kindly remember the important ones because they are asked as full-fledged questions in your exam. Then there are structural reforms and positive impact. So the report highlights that in the previous 10 years, a lot of economic structural reforms have been carried out, and due to which a long-term positive impact has been seen in the economy. So look at this. So rise in public sector investment has happened, a robust financial sector has been developed, and significant non-food credit growth contributed to moderate yet consistent growth in the economy. And since you look at data, they're talking since 2014, and 2014 is again the year since the year present government has been in power. So they say that India has managed high fiscal deficit, like fiscal deficit has been high, current account deficits have been high, there were double-digit inflation also, but now especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, we struggled with high inflation. We are struggling with high inflation even right now. But now the report has projected that the inflation is now controlled and the fiscal deficit is much lower and a manageable current account deficit is there. Now critics might differ in this point. They might present data which does not agree with this point. But for the purpose of writing answers, we have to mention this point, that this is what the report is mentioning. Also, they talk about Indian households. Whenever you have to look at savings, you always look at is the saving rate increasing in Indian households. So if you remember, in the previous year, interest rates were hiked by the banks because repo rate was increased, and hence interest rates on your savings, they were also increased. If you save money with bank, if you open a fixed deposit, then you were getting the highest possible interest rate, which was not even available in the past 10 years. So many people, instead of spending, they have parked their money with the banks, they have opened fixed deposits, they have tried to save because interest rate is very, very high at this moment. So Indian households are financially robust. Substantial growth in bank accounts and deposits has occurred, and household financial assets and liabilities have increased since 2019, improving net financial assets. So assets and liabilities means the deposits and loans. So that means if people are taking loans, that means more money is flowing in the economy, more money is required. And if people have assets, that means they have parked their money with the banks, they have saved a lot. That means economy is robust. Indian households have been said to be robust. Let me know in the chat section that have you seen such trends around you as well. Then the next thing it talks about is foreign exchange reserves. It says that up to 11 months of net imports, foreign exchange reserve is there. That means even if for next 11 months, we have forex is available for the next 11 months as well, which indicates a strong economic position of India. Alright, so all good things have been talked about. Then the third and one of my favorite ones is the Fintech and stock market milestones. Now we've had a separate discussion on Fintech also, on its role also. Also we discussed the role of Fintech in the Kafral report that we discussed back in December. So kindly refer to that if you're not aware of what Fintech is. Fintech is basically provision of financial services by the help of technology. For example, the UPI apps that you use, they form a part of Fintech. If you are into stock trading and you are using any apps like Grow or any other apps for carrying out any financial activity, then these constitute a part of Fintech. So it says that Fintech and stock market milestones have grown, and India, it has emerged as the fourth. It has emerged at the fourth position in the global stock market rankings. If you know that recently we have surpassed Hong Kong, the third largest. India has emerged as the third largest fintech economy globally. The first one is US, the second one is UK, and now the third stock market or fintech economy is basically India. So surpassing Hong Kong, India now holds the fourth position in the global stock market ranking. So there are two data here. For fintech, we are the third largest, and for stock market rankings, we are the fourth largest, and we have taken over Hong Kong recently. So that is because a lot of foreign investors, they are showing interest in India. A lot of people from India also, they are trying to increase their income by investing in the stock market. Also, initial public offerings have been increasing in number. If I talk about the month of January, there have been at least, if I'm not wrong, somewhere between 4 to 5 initial public offerings just in the month of January, and there are at least 20 more IPOs coming in the future that will be listed. So a lot of people are taking interest in the stock markets and are trying to invest through IPOs. That's why India has become the fourth largest stock market of the world. Then it talks about the financial inclusion impact. Financial inclusion, whenever this topic comes to our mind, the first thing that should come to your mind is opening up of bank accounts. Only then financial services can be provided to people, direct benefit transfer can be provided to people. So the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, which actually motivated people or provided for people to open bank accounts, and it has played a crucial role in increasing the percentage of women holding bank accounts. It says that in 2015 to 16, when this scheme was started, only 53% women had bank accounts, and now 78.6% women have bank accounts, and reason is this particular scheme. Then fifth, it has focused on women participation and empowerment. That has women participation increased or decreased? So a periodic labor force survey back in 2019, it represented the data that less than 20% of women are part of the labor force. That means that means a lot of women are not working, and especially in urban areas where we see that a lot of modernization is there, women are relatively more educated. Women in urban areas are not working as compared to the women in urban areas. Rural area women were working. So that was a very astounding data that we saw, that the employment levels of women or labor force participation of women have been going down with time. They're even lesser than what their labor force participation rate was back in the 1990s. But now this review has highlighted that significant increase in female labor force participation rate has been seen. We call it LFPR, and it was around 23.3% in 2017-18, which was average for urban and rural females both, and now it has gone up to around 37% from 2022 to 23 if you talk about it. And the reasons have been the Skill India mission, that women are learning basic skills to provide for themselves and their families financially and participate in the labor workforce, and Startup India scheme and Stand Up India scheme, under which women are provided with small loans to open up their own ventures. Then the gross enrollment ratio for females in higher education and jobs. This is where we both want to focus on, because both of these they lead to participation of women in the workforce. So gross enrollment ratio for females in higher education has seen a four-fold increase. That means 4 times increase has been seen, reaching 27.9% in 2021 from 6.7% in fiscal year 01. I think it's they talked about data from 2005. There is some error here. I'll check it. Also, finally, they've talked about medium and small, micro, small and medium enterprises. We have covered a separate topic in Perspective 360 on MSMEs also, and I have told you that MSMEs employ more people than big corporates in the country. They lead to more economic growth, they lead to more economic equity, more financial inclusion in the country. So MSMEs will be supported and will be talked about by any government in any of their review papers. So MSMEs, they have said, the report says that MSMEs have seen heightened dynamism, and that is because of supportive government measures. First of all, by the incoming of this present government, the definition of MSMEs was changed, and the definition was expanded. The scope of definition of MSME was expanded in such a way that they do not feel hurdles in expanding, in increasing their business operations and increasing their profits beyond a certain limit. So the definition was changed few years back, and implementation of GST was brought in, under which many MSMEs are getting benefits. If you know, there are online portals from where you can buy products in wholesale from the MSMEs online. So implementation of GST with domestic market integration and increased incentives for production has led to improved economic efficiency and reduced the logistics costs. So now There have been some additional highlights which have been given by this document. By that time, before I begin the additional highlights or the challenges, and this part is going to be very interesting because it talks about the future. This is mostly the chapter 2 that we will be covering. The chapter 1 has been almost done. So the chapter 2 highlights will be taken in the body part 2. Before that, let me just get back to the chart section and see what additions you have to make. If there is anything you want to ask, then kindly let me know. Okay, yes, Lucifer, in a diplomatic way. Hello, Bilal. Okay, it's correct, ma'am. It's fiscal year 01. Okay, 2001. All right. Then moving on to the body part 2, where we'll be talking about additional highlights for the chapter 2. So 3 trends have been highlighted that in future we'll see 3 trends, and one of these trends is the trend of globalization. In December we covered a separate topic on globalization as well, where we talked about that globalization might not be the solution for future, because countries, they are becoming more protectionist, they're closing their borders, they're working for the welfare of their own people and not worried much about other economies and other nations. So probably the times of globalization are getting over and we need a new solution for the 21st century, and globalization might not be the best approach. And I also told you that coming up of regional economic partnerships, that could be a way forward, or bilateral agreements, that could be a way forward. We also talked about how WTO is not being liked by many countries over the globe because of being partial in the favor of developed countries, and things like that, and how the appellate body of WTO is is dysfunctional because right people, or adequate number of people have not been appointed. So appellate body is not functioning, then how can justice be ensured? So we talked about that globalization is having a tough time, we might need a new theory. So yes, the report highlights that there are 3 trends for the coming years that we have to prepare ourselves for, and the finance ministry has also said that the Indian economy is very well placed to take on these challenges because of the policies adopted over the last decade. So 3 challenges or 3 trends in the coming years have been highlighted. The first one is the end of the era of hyper globalization in global manufacturing. So yes, globalization levels will go down, hyper globalization will not occur, but the review has also said that this is not the end of globalization. We'll see that in the next slide. And the second one is the advent of artificial intelligence, which might take up a lot of jobs and create new ones. So developing countries like India need to be prepared for that. And the third one is the energy transition challenge. Energy transition challenge means we covered COP28 few weeks ago, and I told you that India has targets under the Paris climate deal. And one of the targets is to shift to renewable energy sources, have installed capacity of renewable energy sources by 2030, and we have targets of 175 gigawatt. Out of that, solar energy holds the major chunk. That's why India led the International Solar Alliance also. Now the problem there is that our installed power generators are based on thermal energy. That means they operate on coal, and it's very expensive to install electricity generators or power generators. Our discoms, power discoms, which actually provide electricity to people, they are already under a lot of debt, and this debt has been resolved by government from time to time, multiple times. So India is facing this double challenge. First of all, we need more money to move to renewable sources of energy, whether that's electric vehicles, whether that's solar power plants. On the other hand, the installed capacity which employs people and which is already set with the help of coal, that produces pollution, and that will be dysfunctional, and that has to be made dysfunctional because we have climate change targets as part of Paris climate deal. We have the intended nationally determined contributions as part of that deal. So the energy transition challenge has been highlighted as part of this review for India. But again, I would say for all these 3 challenges, the finance ministry has said that India is well prepared. So let's highlight these 3 challenges in a little more detail. First of all, the CEA notes that the era of hyper-globalization in manufacturing is ending, but deglobalization is not imminent. Deglobalization will not occur. The present levels of globalization will stay, and but the rate of globalization will now not increase further. Hyperglobalization will not happen due to the deep integration of global supply chains. For example, if somebody is outsourcing raw material from India to produce, let's say India is sourcing raw materials from somewhere in Brazil to produce electric vehicles. Then if raw material is just available with Brazil, then we cannot go to some other country to gain raw materials from. So the global supply chains are very deeply integrated, hence deglobalization will not occur, but hyperglobalization cannot be seen any further when it comes to manufacturing sector. Then India is also focusing on onshoring and shoring of production. That means production in its own country or in friendly countries. So it says that logistics cost and product prices and transportation costs are very high and they are projected to go up. So there has been a recommendation made that lower down the logistics cost and invest in product quality to maintain and expand market share where India has advantages, so that people buy your products more and more, bring down the cost down to produce those products. Then regarding green initiatives, as I told you, there is a double challenge that India is facing. There is international pressure to reduce fossil fuel dependence while balancing economic growth and energy transition. So the fourth one is challenges facing the Indian economy include reliance on global supply chains. And if your economy is dependent on global supply chains, again I will refer here the Russia-Ukraine war. India imports a lot of crude oil from Russia. Now, whenever a war situation occurs, your international export lines, international trade routes, they get blocked. And because they get blocked, that means supplies in your country, they get affected. So petrol prices have risen in the past. Crude oil prices touched all-time high in the previous year, as we saw in 2023. And also prices of palm oil and other edible oils, they almost doubled in the previous year. And hence at the end, who has to face? Fuel and food, they form a major chunk of your consumer price index, CPI, and that is the headline inflation for the country. Inflation in your country is measured by CPI, and CPI was at an all-time high in the previous year, and before that also because of the pandemic, and in the last year because of the Russia-Ukraine war, and then again the Gaza conflict. So the challenge here is that India relies a lot on these global supply chains, and when these get disrupted, there is difficulty of exporting due to slower global trade growth, and here there is a difficulty of importing also, especially importing crude oil. Then there is additionally the rise of artificial intelligence. We are explaining that point. For services trade, that is a challenge. Content creators of the last year, they have had challenges finding jobs, because now ChatGPT, artificial intelligence bots like ChatGPT, they have been doing those jobs. So new jobs will be created to operate such tools, but the previous jobs, they will be disrupted, especially in the services sector, and employment will get affected. So moving on to the conclusion, here we have completed most of the highlights of the report. Both the chapters have been done well. Now in the conclusion, first of all, celebrating these achievements is important. So while celebrating these achievements, on the other hand, what you have to do is a cautious outlook on future growth and inflation. Inflation has been a major challenge since the pandemic broke, and future growth and inflation, they have to be maintained. Acknowledging global uncertainties and challenges that may impact India's economic trajectory. So all these things have to be kept in mind. And overall, you can conclude that overall, the review portrays Indian economy in a positive light, as I already told you, and we saw, indicating strong growth trends in upcoming years. So that's your answer for the day. That's your topic discussion for the day. And obviously, you have to end on a positive note, even if you feel that unemployment rates have not been, unemployment rates have been given, but actual unemployment data has not been given in the review. You just cannot write against it. And what you can do is, in the body part 2 or have a body part 3 separately, and just say that actual unemployment data indicates that there are a lot of people, or let's say more than 50% of people in the working age group who are unemployed. So you can present that by using the word data or by using the name of experts or critics. Don't present them as your points. And in the next few days, you will see a lot of criticism of this, the economic review, the Indian economy, the review or this report. A lot of editorials would be popping up. So note down your points, but learn these first and then add to your answer, and then keep adding to the topics you've already done. Also, the interim budget would be presented soon, so we'll have more data to look at. Now, highlight the important observations of the Indian economy, a review. That's your question for the day. Answer in 600 words for 15 marks. For those of you who are not aware, this initiative is aiming to provide you with current affairs knowledge from descriptive portion point of view of your exams for regulatory bodies. You can write your answer on the question that has been discussed right now and post it in the comment section under this video in the next 48 hours, that is by Friday 5 p.m. for this question. And our experts carry out evaluation for your answers, and they provide you with free evaluation services so that you can enhance your descriptive writing skills and can make it to the final list. So that's all for today. Now I'll get back to the chat section to take all your doubts and additions, and you can send your feedback to us regarding this initiative or any other initiative at hello@edutap.co.in. And if you want to enroll in any of our courses, you can contact us at this number. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be happy to have you in our subscription list. Okay, Lucifer, I'll get back to it. You're welcome, Iftisham. Lucifer, okay, I think Lucifer, you've understood that. Shadow Hawkage. Ma'am, for 600 words answer, I think there's a lot to write from this report. How to filter it out? Shadow, the best way to filter out any data or any information in lesser words is to write in points, to avoid writing full sentences. If I take you back, for example, look at this part. Here we have not written in full sentences, we have written just in points. And if you go back to the previous one also, just like here, we've not written in full points, we've not written in full sentences, just write the information in front of the heading and there you go. So that's how you save a lot on word limit, by omitting a lot of rules of grammar of writing full sentences. So just give a subheading and write the information under it. So you can very well complete it in less than 600 words. Thank you, Ashok sir. Yes, supply chain disruption, Sejal, that was a great addition. Okay, ma'am, for 600, okay. So let's suppose question come from women empowerment. So yes, Raj, that's very good point that you have raised here, and that is what we highlighted in the beginning as well. See, all topics cannot be asked in your examinations, but we need to cover all the topics which are important, because somewhere or other you will be using that data in whatever topics are asked in your final exam. So kindly keep covering them, and the best way to understand them and remember them, the best way to understand them is through perspective 360, and the best way to remember anything is to have it in written format. So give yourself a test, write an answer to it and post it in the comment section in the next 48 hours. You'll retain a lot of information after watching the video and after writing an answer on it. So this topic will be done. So ma'am, what do I miss? All your morning sessions. What can I see? Okay, so Akshay, are you are you a paid student? And I understand that morning classes are going on from 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. for descriptive section. So probably you could book a strategy call. Those live sessions are meant to provide you with expert level guidance for social issues and descriptive sections. So kindly attend them. Even if you cannot attend them in the live format, just watch the recorded video in double speed or 1.5 level the speed. Thank you, Koyal. You're welcome, and I'll see all of you on Friday 5 p.m. Till then, take care and all the very best. Keep working hard. Slow and steady wins the race.